And we'll see if Dignitas can punish them in the first Cloud9 minutes. But guys, it's time to see if Skara and Dig can get that going and grab a playoff spot, or will Cloud9 just gonna reign in the postseason? We'll see if it happens. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. On the blue side is Cloud9, Balls in the top lane, Meteos in jungle, High in mid, Sneaky on AD carry, and Lemonation on support.
And in the red corner, we have Dignitas with Kiwi Kid in top, Crumbs in the jungle, Scar in mid lane, I'm a Cutie Pie in AD, and Patoy on support.
So we get ourselves going into this game. Of course, the players are very much ready, but it's fun to watch. Like, we came into the week talking about, is Cloud9 going to focus very hard? Is Vulcan going to focus after they've got their spot locked in? And in each case, it really has been. That Cloud9 said, again, talking to Meteos earlier in the day, he said, we really needed to do well this week to have our, to keep the momentum going, to keep feeling good about ourselves going into the game.
I don't think these guys can afford to take an off week. I remember always back when I was playing, even if you'd been winning a while, or even after a losing streak, the one thing that I'd always want to do is intentionally try to win a few games before a tournament or a big event. And for Cloud9, the worst thing they could do going into regional playoffs is give the other teams a bunch of confidence and demoralize yourselves by losing to them in the regular season. Even if you can kind of hide behind the veil of, oh, we weren't trying our hardest, as a lot of these teams like to do, you just have to keep playing the way it's been working, because they shouldn't worry about losing to North American teams or like giving away strategies, because they've clearly demonstrated they can beat them this whole season.
So we're going to go for this one. Pretty standard things come in, of course. Balls first picking that Shen. He's done a very good job with the champion. Hasn't been allowed to pick him for a little while. Yeah. And of course, with Rumble banned away is another courtesy pick. But starting out strong, I think, with the Cloud9 champ select. Yeah.
We blew over the bans really quickly there because we were talking about other stuff, but they're very focused, especially on kind of punishing Skara. Skara has not proved this split that he is able to perform if you ban out specific champions, and it's been one of the big reasons for Dignitas' struggles outside of all the Kiwi Kid deaths we've been talking about. So I like those bans by Cloud9, and it shows to me that they're definitely targeting Skara.
And that just has seemed to work well so far. Of course, Dignitas, though, going back to some of their own comfortable picks with a couple of the key junglers gone, though. I guess Nass is still up here. The Elise being stolen away. Of course, we saw the Zac being banned out, the Ezreal being grabbed up here for Cutie Pie. There's certainly, I mean, Dignitas here are certainly playing champ select pretty well so far as well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if Meteos does go with Nasus, because while it's naturally the thing he likes to pick in the situations when Zac is banned and Nasus, those are his two. So it's either like banned or picked away from him. But because of the picks Dignitas has already picked in, knowing that Elise is probably a jungler and that Ezreal is probably the AD carry, those are both like very caster spell-based things, whereas Wither on Nasus is going to be very ineffective. So if he picks Nasus later on, as he picks it when he picks his jungler, it's not going to be specifically to counter an AD carry. It's actually going to be suboptimal in that situation. It'll be more for Cloud9's overall strategy that they just love doing, having lane control and just having his presence in team fights.
So we'll see what they end up going for with that one. Of course, Cloud9 with their next two pickups here, with Ashe still on the table. They've grabbed up that Zyra. Of course, who's going to steal away Ashe when you've already picked up an AD carry? The Kennen coming back into the show as well. So more champions that Cloud9 loves to run. That just tends to be their playstyle, man.
And of course, Cloud9 might be doing some of that lane swapping, but it seems clear to me that that's going to be high on Kennen and then balls on Shen. But we don't actually know if they're going to be lane swapping or not. They've done plenty of these things before. Early in the season, they would do Ryze, Kennen, and they just basically guess where you want to go. Whoever wants to play. Because they're cool like that and they can bounce around.
Unless they want to be something really sneaky and throw like AD carry Kennen, but I think we don't see that very often, so I think we'll skip on that one. But I like this choice here by Dignitas. The Orianna coming in, another grab here for Skara, but of course the Janna, the counter pick into Kennen, pretty smart.
I actually feel like Cloud9 struggles a little bit against Janna, but almost no one has been picking Janna against them this season. Their first loss of the season was against Chouster's Janna when he was disengaging specifically against a Kennen for Cloud9. And then there was actually a few games where Cloud9 was using Janna as a contested pick, and then just kind of died away.
Yeah.
Because there was maybe a little bit more Zyra being played, everyone started tunneling back onto Thresh. But for Dignitas, that is a smart scouting move and a great time to pull it off, knowing you're already going into a Kennen, and also because Zyra is going to punish you for diving in, so Dignitas is not picking a dive-in team whatsoever. They're very poke-oriented, which is good against Zyra.
There's actually a lot of things I like about Janna. Think about the Cloud9 playstyle, where you push turrets really hard, or we dive you really hard. Not only do you have the Monsoon, the knockback engages, but you've also got the turret protection, the wave through the Howling Gale, the shield on the turret. Like, there's a lot of cool things about Janna I like here, as Cloud9 puts in more engage.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
that's the way they play. That's the thing. That's why Janna is such a strong pick against them. This will be the first time we get to see Meteos playing Eve, so he does not go for that Nasus. And of all the teams that should understand exactly how to engage with Eve, it's going to be Cloud9. Expect to see Eve coming around the backside of a team and flanking with an Ash Arrow, as opposed to just running straight forward into a team. That is the best way for Eve to go in, because you want Eve's ult to hit right before everything else, since Eve's one of the only ultimates in the game that can do 0 damage, since it's percentage current health and nothing else. So you want to use it when everyone is at full to initiate fights, which is something Meteos has no problems doing, and I expect them to play it very well.
Well, this should be all sorts of fun then. Cloud9 playing their sort of play style. Dignitas actually throwing us for a loop as well and putting Elise into the top lane as they grab Jarvan here for Crumb. So well done by these guys. Putting up their little team composition. Dignitas, a lot of blonde champions.
Yes, surprisingly, Dignitas, none of them have blonde hair, but they all decided to go for blonde-haired champions.
Envy.
Soon enough, Scar is going to go Super Saiyan, and even I'm a cutie pie and just dye his beautiful locks blonde. But really,
full of Meteos.
I want to talk about the Elise in particular for Dignitas, and why I really actually like Dignitas' champ select a lot in this situation. When Kiwi Kid was excelling in the spring split, a lot of that was on Elise.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been struggling lately and they're putting him back onto that champion will give him a lot of opportunities to succeed.
And I'm curious to see how he does, because it's been a while since the spring split. Not only just time since last played the champion in competitive, but she's been nerfed a few times since then.
She's been nerfed a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
was a little strong in the spring split.
A surprising amount, especially on the 310 patch, where there were so many changes to Elise, but teams are still valuing her extremely highly because her damage wasn't necessarily hit, just the durability of her spiderlings and the range of her repel were hit dramatically, or at least the utility that that spell provides. It's very interesting watching the evolution of Elise and also the evolution of the jungle in this 3.10 patch.
Yeah, it was something that, as you mentioned before, that he couldn't rush the Runic Bulwark. Meteos talking about. He's got to sort of reimagine what he does here. And
he's not going to be doing it on Eve. That's the one thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Eve is a carry jungler, and that's actually something Meteos has talked about for a while. I remember even before the 310 patch, when I was talking with Meteos, I actually kind of overheard a discussion between him and Lemon Nation, and Meteos was saying, well, you can play carry junglers. And then Lemon Nation was like, well, then who's going to build the Bulwark?
Top lane.
I mean, it's like, yeah, exactly. Then Lemon Nation's like, oh, you just need a top laner to build it. But now that that's not necessarily required, he's free to play the carry junglers, because Meteos has always thought that they've been viable. It's just that they were locked into that Runic Bulwark, and it was restricting their ability to play them. So I want to see his take on carry junglers now that he's picked Eve.
This should be all sorts of fun. And for what it's worth, actually, it's another thing we talked about with Cloud9 is, are they going to reveal new things at the end of the split when they don't need to win anymore? Well, first time Evelyn, we're going to see a carry jungler here for Meteos. So guys, they've come onto the Rift. Dignitas fighting for a playoff spot. If they win a game, if they win this game or any of the next ones over this weekend, they're going to have it secured. If they don't win here, they've still got to put themselves, you know, kind of on the line for this one. Cloud9, though, securely in first, going to do what they can here to continue to impress the fans. C9, of course, in blue, Dig on red.
And even if Dignitas makes the playoffs just based off of Team Coast's struggles this week, it's not a satisfying way to go in to the PAX playoff tournament, because essentially, if they go in on a skid, they could still enter into relegation. They need to pick up some momentum, and what better way than to try to get a win against Cloud9?
And I mean, you think about how they got into this, right? If they come into the playoffs as 6th seed or something, what, they have to fight against number 3 TSM or a Curse who are on giant winning streaks. Like, that's not
an easy thing.
No, like, you came in a tie for 3rd, you dropped to 6th, you fight one of the 3rd place tied teams that you couldn't beat the week before is a risky proposition. So we get ourselves going into this game. Early ward games have actually come across. I believe I saw Vision Ward come down at some point towards sweep. So Dignitas protecting their lizard side jungle a little bit.
It's actually a funny thing that I'm wondering when teams, or if teams, are going to try to exploit. Lemon Nation almost never starts games with pink wards. And he specifically tries to ward spots that won't get pink warded away and tries to maintain vision that way. He's not actually a vision denial support early game. Instead, someone who likes to provide vision.
And interestingly enough, as we talk more about the level 1s in Elimination, he and Sneaky, twice now today, have actually started up just taking the little mini lizards from one of the big camps and using that for like 10 gold and like 100 experience to start their lane.
Exactly. They did that in the previous game as well. It's it's brilliant if you can get it to work because it actually denies the enemy jungler the level 3 rush that they want, since there's been so much experience put back in to those small lizards that are next to the big blue buff that you can see Meteos taking right now. And since Crumbs did take the wolves, he might be able to get level 3 off of this one. He will be, but if he tried to do just the red buff to blue buff to red buff jump, he wouldn't have hit level 3.
So good steals, a little minor counter jungling by the lanes. I like that a lot. Good adaptation in the 3.10 patch by Cloud9. And we're looking at their lane setups now. So we've got a 2v2 in the top lane, a 1v1 in mid, and a 1v1 in bottom. Everyone is playing their basically standard lane opponents, though maybe not in the same spots in the map.
Yeah, the only difference, we got the guys up top, and I want to see what happens in specifically this lane right here with Sneaky and Lemon Nation, because when their Zyra-Ashe combination has worked, they spend almost the entire game in that exact position, pushing the enemy right back to their turret and being aggressive. And Janna's not the type of support who can actually bully or lane that strong early, which puts emphasis on Crumbs to try to make these ganks. And he has snuck around perfectly to get past that Tri-Brush ward and is running right into Lemon Nation.
And he finds him. Lemon Nation down to 300 HP, forced to flash early. The knockup's gonna land on a Sneaky. Double root, though, from Lemon Nation. Might keep his teammates alive. More damage on a Sneaky down below 300 HP for him. Pretty good gank for Crumbs, honestly.
Yeah, Dignitas seems like they've came very prepared. The Janna pick for one, and then essentially knowing the ward patterns of Cloud9 and the early lane patterns of Cloud9 so that Crumbs could take that approach. Going through the Baron pit with his flag toss so he could work around and avoid that Tri-Brush means they've watched that Ashe Zyra lane before and got the specific gank path to burn both flashes.
And it's so funny too, because he was that one step ahead. Lemon Nation was coming down to ward for Crumbs. He had a ward inventory.
Great timing.
Running down to the river, and he's like, yeah, you found me, buddy. Cloud9 brush face checking, repeating itself today. That time, though, no triple kill, but Crumbs looking again for a gank somewhere else.
And this one doesn't seem as wise because Meteos is in exactly the same spot, and this could actually be a very strong counter gank. Luckily, Crumbs did hit level 4 in that brush, so the experience is equal amongst these guys. Oh, never mind. Meteos is actually level 5. This could be bad, depending on who gets counter ganked.
Here we go, the jump in on a cubic. Yeah, oh, he's basically gone right now. First blood while in the air. Crumbs now forced to run away. Blue buff is gone to the cooldown. He's still waiting for it. Meteos jumping forward for a bit more damage. Actually, to point out, Meteos went Ignite on the jungle. He killed him fast.
That's why there was so much burst, because they both burned Ignite. Even though it seems like it doubled up, Ignite does half of its damage up front and then half over the next 5 seconds, I believe. No? Over 5 seconds? I thought it did up front.
It does give you 5 AP, though.
What is wrong with me, freak?
I don't know. It's all right.
Anyway.
You got 1 tick, though.
He got the 1 tick.
And then 5 AP.
Well, at least Meteos got it.
All right.
We're just going to move on.
Yep.
That didn't happen, actually.
It's all right. So first blood going to Cloud9. More aggression despite being ganked earlier on. That duo lane. Look at the minion deficit. 38 to 26. Cloud9 got ganked, are winning the lane.
Yeah, that's the way they play this lane. And it's now Crumbs has to repunish them. It's just because he spent the time going bottom and got hit by that double ignite. He's not able to get back into the top lane and actually take a bit of control. Once you burn the flashes, you need to be able to make the return gank. Otherwise, that first gank doesn't mean much, and the bullying will continue in the top lane.
And speaking of bullying, though, there's one coming in the mid.
He's level 6 right now.
What? And the ult comes across. Scar has to try to flash away, but here comes Crumbs. It's going to be enough high. Down to 50 HP. It's going to be a trade kill right there. Another ignite burn for this one. Meteos chasing around Crumbs.
He's just going.
He might get him. Gets cued in the face. Double kill for Meteos. 2-0 in 1. Carry jungler? I think so.
Here he comes right now. We've talked about Meteos' ability to always be in the right place at the right time, but now it's time for him to carry because he has 600 more gold right now than anyone else in the game. Junglers usually start the game pretty strong in gold, but specifically when he doesn't have to build aura items, and because he's gotten the 2 kills and a bunch of lane XP after the kills, plus the enemy jungler, he's potentially going to go crazy here.
It looks like he's going to. Level 7 right now, highest in the game. And of course, now even more things unlocked for Cloud9. Balls has hit level 6. He's got the stand united as well. And so I feel like there's going to be even more pressure coming across. I know the Twitch submarine is fun, but I feel like the Evelyn submarine also pretty strong here in the lineup. And we'll see that as the game progresses.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that Cloud9 is going to be able to initiate. It'll be Meteos coming in, maybe with Shen, maybe without, but it'll give Balls a good way of entering fights. And since he's gotten so much farm so quickly, he can basically threaten just by himself. Then High will flash in to support or just run in very fast as kind of everything will try to pile. And that's what Cloud9's going for. And they'll need to kill Patoy almost before he can react with one of those Janna ultimates to try to break everything up.
Yep, so here we go. This guy's looking to set up kills. The red buff going to Crumbs. All right, so the jungle hasn't been invaded too much by Cloud9. At least those buffs are getting traded back pretty equally. It's just the ganks that have really set these teams apart. It's given Cloud9 a 1,500 gold lead, which definitely does not suck. And now I want to know if Meteos also, to continue this trend, takes away his own blue buff. Because he's got an energy mid laner.
He will. High, even when High's on a mana champion, he's one of the more likely mid laners to sacrifice blue buff to Meteos. Specifically when Meteos plays Nasus because he loves the mana for a Spirit Fire wave clear. But I just kind of want to spend a bit of time in Meteos vision this game to see where he goes next. I'm just looking. 53 farm is competing exactly with High. Not to mention all the kills and double buffs he's got, and he's just getting more and more lane farm. Because Cloud9 has just done a lane swap, he's able to get this lane up top either. As a jungler, if your team is willing to give you opportunistic lane farm, you can and will outpace the game in experience and gold, and that's what Meteos is doing right now.
So then it's on him. You've got to think about, actually just to kind of reference the clip that I covered with Cloud9 versus CLG. It was, Cloud9 actually zoned out the major gold holders of Counter Logic Gaming, and right now actually the major gold holder is not around this dragon fight. Dignitas looks like they might just be sweeping away. They get the dragon pickup. They saw Meteos top, but High is going to engage. He finds Kiwi Kid. Kiwi Kid forced to run away, but Meteos spots him. Another kill picked up. The kill for Dragon, still a good thing for Dig.
It actually is. So when they saw Meteos up top clearing the wave, even though it was giving Meteos a lot of individual farm and giving Cloud9 a lot of experience across the board, it opened up that window where Dignitas could take a risky dragon. And Dignitas took the risk, got the dragon. Now it's about whether they will pay for the kill that happened to Kiwi Kid.
And Dignitas said that they thought their early game was better than Cloud9's, and if the kills didn't go their way, certainly the decision-making here for Dragons was a nice one. The 2v2 lanes keep matching up, though. I think Cloud9, I'm trying to think of who recalled first and who wanted to get out of that lane, but these guys have been stuck in this matchup forever, and now with Cutie Pie actually tying Sneaky here in minions and catching back up, I gotta think maybe that's what Dignitas wanted.
Cutie Pie's been doing a very good job keeping up with Ezreal. Again, he went for that Brutalizer build. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for a tier next, but that's what he's been doing in the past on Ezreal. And it's actually on Cloud9 to find a way of shutting down Meteos a bit, because Meteos is just hunting for Kiwi Kid.
And the dive right there. Kiwi down to 400 HP. Will he repel into the air? He will, but of course is an on-fire Kiwi Kid. Yep. And down he goes. Meteos on a rampage, 4-0-1. More kills going Cloud9's way.
4,100 gold. 10.5 minutes into the game right now for Meteos. He is exploding this game right now, and Eve doesn't necessarily scale, like hyper scale into the game, but mid-game, Eve can continue to take over, so expect Meteos to just keep up this frantic pace. You can see him running everywhere throughout the jungle. Right now, no matter who Meteos runs into, even if he doesn't have his ultimate, he can win a fight.
Yeah, we're showing it right there. And just doing the math on the gold stat you read out, he's at like 400 gold per minute, which is a rather rare mark for a jungler. Anything over 400 in general is really high. So, well played there. High running away, though, keeps finding attention here. Pops his ulti, but gets shockwave. There's a standing net. Can he get enough damage on a Scar? Flashing across. Nice dodge by Scar, but it won't be enough. Balls finds one. Now Crumb's forced to flash back. The counter ganks just keep coming in for Cloud9.
And that was specifically a great play by Balls. He actually waited just long enough so that Dignitas would overcommit. Scar is stuck around a little longer than if Balls had just used that Shen ult right away, and that's what allowed Cloud9 to turn that one around.
Beautiful moves all across the arrow. Nice little dodge there, Cutie Pie. At least Arcane shifts back out of range with the follow-up Zyber route, so he's going to be safe. Cooldown's down for Cloud9.
That shift stopped the chain that Cloud9 loves to run off with Zara Ashe, where they just get one after another and then a third CC coming in. But it doesn't actually stop Dignitas from being pushed back in almost all of their lanes.
Exactly, you're seeing the characteristic Cloud9 push everywhere. The Hawk Shot coming across actually spots that Crumbs is waiting in the wings, so Cloud9 won't get too crazy down here. As they're just sort of I feel like they're kind of playing between ultimates. Like the last fight was started by Dignitas, but they had the Balls ulti here. Now with Meteos's Agony's Embrace back, maybe we'll see Cloud9 re-engage. But the funny thing is, they're playing normal sort of standard lane setups, and Dragon's gone. And so as the aggressive team, there's not a heck of a lot to fight for.
No, not right now. They've cleared out most of the objectives. The main thing that I think is going to happen is Meteos, by the way. This game's... I'm focusing on him a little bit because he's level 10 as a jungler already 12 minutes into the game, which is tied for the highest level in the game, very much keeping up with his carry jungle. And this isn't something we have seen in a very long time, and it's what Cloud9 needs to focus on. As long as Meteos keeps this pace up, since they've got that 3,000 gold lead, they can continue to take advantages even if the huge objectives aren't up. Because really, the objective for Cloud9 right now is to just outpace Dignitas and farm. And as long as Meteos is running around the map as quickly as he is, and Cloud9 is doing enough counter jungling, the jungle on the map is essentially a very spread out objective that Cloud9 is trying to take.
And right now, High is going to be the next piece of that puzzle, running on down. Crumb's lurking in the shadows, Scar nearby as well. High's flash is not up, but his ulti is. Just walks right away. Here we go, red buff picked up right here. That does go to Crumbs, I believe. So, counter jungle avoided.
Yeah, there's actually 2 pink wards in Dignitas' jungle right now, specifically to catch Meteos as he's trying to maybe flank around the back of teams, and also to help protect those Dignitas buffs that Meteos hasn't been able to get his hands on.
And no, it's the Cloud9 buffs, though, that Meteos does get his hands on. He's still wearing the red and blue buff, the fashionably mixing colors right there. And he's going to look for his next move. The ultis are up in the mid lane. Ash Arrow, too. Actually, Sneaky doesn't cross-map Ash Arrow very much.
No,
he doesn't,
just
like,
that one earlier in the game where we followed it across the whole map. Usually, he'll Hawkshot first, and then Ash Arrow almost afterwards, right before an initiation. He'll step back a bit, and then go.
And he finds it there onto I'm a Cutie Pie. A lot of damage there. Flash force, but Toyalty as well. He's got a flash out too, and there's the re-engage. They jump onto Cutie Pie. The flash forward from like everybody in this lane. Even Sneaky's burned his. Scar getting caught out. Meteos has burned his ulti for this one. Not quite in range for more hate spikes. Pops the movement speed buff. Is it enough? One more hit to go. Scar with the shield. Meteos finds him. Unstoppable.
Look where Meteos is right now. He doesn't care, and he's going to try to duel until his last breath.
Only have 300, 400 HP. Oh, a beautiful Ezreal catches a stand united, and High shows up. The rest of Cloud9 saying, guys, no man left behind. Keep everyone alive. Find more kills. 8-1.
Getting away with that.
Yeah.
Feels a little dirty. He should not have been able to go that deep into Dignitas' jungle. Solo the mid laner. Take on the enemy jungler from almost no health, eat his ultimate, and then Balls came in to save the day and just allowed Meteos to walk away with an extra kill, by the way. He's now 5-0-2 and taking over this game.
Yeah, and of course, you've got to hand it to the rest of the team making a lot of this happen. As you said, the High, the Balls, those guys showing up as well. 2-0-2, you've got actually 5,000 gold on the top laner, 5,000 gold on the mid laner. They're outpacing their counterparts certainly very, very well. Even Sneaky, who hasn't been involved in any kills, is at least out farming his compatriot I'm a Cutie Pie. So, you gotta say, yeah, kind of across the board, even though they didn't even get the dragon themselves, Cloud9 winning everywhere.
And a lot of that comes from jungle control. The 2 turrets are obviously extremely beneficial for that as well. But the overall presence that Cloud9 has on the map due to how threatening Meteos is what's allowing them to build up those leads.
And as they set up for the last dragon, or the next dragon, only 60 minutes.
This game is over in 4 more minutes. There's going to be no more dragons coming.
Oh no. But interestingly, Balls won't be there for it. So they're setting up without the potential for a real numbers advantage here. High just kind of zoning people out. He's got some plants nearby. Crumb's taking a swipe at stuff.
Here's the cute thing though. Even though Balls wouldn't be there for the dragon, if Dignitas wanted to take it with 5, they'd be giving up their 3rd outer turret of the game if Kiwi Kid wasn't there to match Balls. And that's actually more detrimental than Dignitas contesting the dragon. But because, once again, the fear that Meteos has created, remember the last time Skara tried to roam through his blue jungle, Meteos just killed them. So no one on Dignitas is actually willing to venture into that danger zone. And that's why Cloud9 could get that uncontested dragon.
And he basically soloed it. He got some plants from elimination, true support, helping his teammates get the kills right there.
Good job, buddy.
But yeah, a lot of objective control still going through. As you said, the jungle being one big spread out objective. Dragon's certainly a big part of that one. All that stuff still in control for Cloud9. The top turret still goes down anyway. High roamed up for it and said, all right, well, I'll push Meteos. You hold the lane. Don't lose mid turret. The turret's barely lost any health, so Really a good call right there. And now 3-0 in turrets, 1-1 in dragons, and a 7,000 gold lead separates Cloud9 well above Dignitas.
This is getting a little bit ugly for Dignitas. They're going to have to turn something around very quickly, and it would start with killing Meteos, since he has the largest bounty of anyone.
And the dive just comes in here for high drop. Scar down to half HP, Ignite taking down as well. One more Q, no! Oh, he barely misses with the Shockwave, and the re-engage high, low in health. Balls will be not quite up. He dies before the Stand United is available. Now Meteos under a bit of fire, but wants to stay in. Oh, that flash just in time, keeping him safe from the crystal arrow of Sneaky. And now Ball's actually running away from Kiwi Kid, dashing over the wall.
Great reactionary flash there by Crumbs, able to twitch the Ash Arrow essentially and get the flash away. But that was actually a pretty good thing for Dignitas. Skara took a bad situation and the team was able to collapse down. They nearly got that kill onto Meteos as well, which would have been a way they could swing themselves a little bit back in this game. But since it was just the one kill and it was against Ty, who had already died, not the best thing. If we could see how exactly this worked out, two very clutch things. The fact that Scar ulted him backwards, and then he dodged the Q afterwards. Crumbs coming in was just kind of a bonus afterwards, and the Shen ultimate was about 2 seconds away from being able to come in on that one. Check out that flash.
Yeah.
Last instant.
Flash mechanics. Hashtag flash mechanics there for Crumbs. Definitely, I don't know, that's worthwhile. I know the video is like, hey man, what's your perfect everything? Man, I want those double mechanics, but still, Doublelift could have really used a flash earlier on when he got cocooned. I think it was by actually Meteos' least. So sometimes those reflex flashes, rather vital here. So 19 minutes in, Cloud9 not completely unstoppable. You're seeing some kills go back into Dignitas' favor, but certainly this has been a battle of a carry jungler and the lanes that support him here. As Cloud9 look for the next move up forward.
As a jungler, I wish a couple more games would go like this.
Yeah.
It's always about jungler, you know, let your lanes get farmed. Give me my blue buff. Build my aura item. Initiate fights for me. It's like, no, man.
Give me my race.
Help me once in a while. Give me your lane. That's what I want. Take it.
There we go. Next, we're going to see Lemonation with like 50 minion kills, and then the world will be right. Yeah. But the mid lane still being swept away. Lemonation still on ward duty, unfortunately. Actually, I do want to...
for that, Sneaky will have to build the Sightstone.
Yes.
And then everything will be all
Everything's great. I mean, he's got Hawkshot. Do you really need wards when you're Ash?
Clearly not.
Clearly not.
You should still build wards.
It actually reminds me of Curse's last game. Edward started the game like 4-0-3 at double GP10 and built a Crest of the Ancient Golem.
That was
and we started doing the math on like, how much gold does he have? Like 7,000? And it was just glorious when Edward carried the game. But here we go. Kiwi Kid gonna find almost the first turret kill, but being taunted up by Balls. Jumps up into the air and says, all right, I'll get it later. Didn't want to risk getting jumped on too much. Crumbs, they're right in the wings. They're going to re-engage. Ball's knocked into the air. 2,000 health left on him. And they're going to start chasing on down, flashing the Cataclysm. Will let Balls escape, but that's a flash down. Not the best thing for him.
He's a very strong man right now. He taunted in right to a counter gank of what's fortunately for him an 0-3 and an 0-2 members of Dignitas. Meteos just flying in.
And the stun lands. Wow. Sneaky steals away the kill. Wonderful arrow shot right there. All 5 members of Cloud9 participated in that kill thanks to the Stand United. That will let Kiwi Kid push the top lane, but it rewards Cloud9 with the secondary right-hand side turret.
Yeah, once Balls recognized there were 2 people up top that already tried to kill him, he aided that gank, and that wasn't necessarily the flank even gauge, just right up the middle. Yeah, and because he was so strong, he could brute force it that way and still have it be successful.
Yeah. He just like ran at them. Yeah. There was nothing sneaky about that. He just like, yeah, I'm just going to run at you with my face. You'll get slowed by my ulti, and I trust my team from there on. So well played right here. 9-2, 4-1 in turrets. Cloud9 well in control, showing themselves as the #1 team. Dignitas, they're still looking for their first win of the weekend here. They've got to make sure they find something. And even if you do lose, you look at their game against Curse, for example, they put on a very, very good showing. Dignitas were able to put on close games, and I feel like losing games like that, you feel less bad about it. You're like, well, we could have done these 2 things, we would have been fine. But Dignitas, I haven't found, I think, a lot of great things to celebrate this game, unfortunately. They've not found any openings.
Not yet. And even if we think back to the start of this game, just Meteos has gotten the upper hand from the very beginning. So maybe they could look at that and say, okay, we can't let Meteos get that kind of jump on us. We can't let Cloud9 steal 2 of our little lizards away at red buff, which set Crumbs immediately at a disadvantage to Meteos. A lot of those little things really matter for early game jungle success, because remember that first gank where Meteos got the kill, he was level 5 when Crumbs was level 4, and they just spiked out Kiwi Kid before he was ready for it.
Yeah, Crumbs ganked and burned a flash and forced a recall, but that was it. And all that time spent was like, okay, your flash is on cooldown, which has not necessarily a lot of value.
Oh, this could be big.
Just farming here from Meteos, and the jump comes in. Evelyn has been caught. No flash, of course, on him. Got nowhere to go. Shockwave lands down to 300 HP, but the Ash Arrow finds Crumbs again. Where's the pain going to go across? No one's dying in this fight so far. Dignitas running away.
And this was actually a 3v4 that Cloud9 is turning. High might come around the back.
And will he find the Slicing Maelstrom? Goes on forward. Meteos finds the kill onto Crumbs, and the re-engage is there. High finds one. High will find a second soon. No. First as Zona's away, Skara goes down. Now High gonna get cued in the face, but that's not gonna be much else. 3 for nothing, Cloud9, and a turret.
Even though it wasn't as rehearsed as it would seem when we made it in the pregame, that was still the type of team fight Cloud9 likes to make. Since they have a lot of ability to initiate with AoEs, coming around the back with your more squishy members is great.
And the taunt landing on a Kiwi Kid. He's got nowhere to go. Very squishy Elise. This is going to be an inhibitor as well. 23 minutes in. There's a dragon if Cloud9 wants it as well, but inhibitor definitely a good prize for that fight.
That was about the worst thing that could have happened to Dignitas at this stage in the game. I can't think of much worse. Losing your inhibitor after a fight like this. Just check out how they hyper-focused Meteos, but because he had that Negatron cloak, it allowed him to live just long enough. There was no Shen ult up, but his Evolve gave him enough tankiness. And then the turn and the chase that happens from Ashe is what's most important. Then, since Patoy wasn't, he'd already burned his stuff, nothing to answer what High had coming in from the back, and it was pretty much just over from there. High's burst all went onto Patoy and just wiped him out.
And yeah, finally balls box since his guy's a part of this fight and just steals the kill with his passive.
Patoy's ultimate was actually up that entire time, I should correct myself. It's just he got bursted and stunned down so quickly by High, he never even got it off.
Yeah, I saw that the stun like managing to land on him. Ooh, almost a steal. Cutie Pie's always got really good instincts on, I'm going to laugh, there's actually a ward there, but generally has really good instincts on, like, I think the buff's going down right now. We've seen a couple steals from him and a couple of near misses.
Even though this isn't the best time to bring it up, since Dignitas is getting a little bit dominated by Cloud9,
yeah.
Everyone on Dignitas does talk about I'm a Cutie Pie's amazing game instincts, and a lot of their post-game or even mid-game strategy revolves around little things I'm a Cutie Pie says, because even when they're losing by large amounts of gold, he's able to calculate very well exactly what the team could try to do to turn the game around.
But Crumb's going to get caught out right here. High positioning himself to catch him after the standard jump. And Meteos still, though, on the chase to Kiwi Kid. Kiwi Kid not having the best game. 0-4 the kill. Can't even finish casting the dunk right there. Meteos walking away with one. High getting the other. And now the turret's pretty much open. Balls, you need minions to make that happen.
Mid-dunk, Meteos finishes him off with a hate spike. This has not been Crumbs' game. It was a very rude hate spike.
Yes. And here we go, without minions. Balls defying me every step of the way, saying we want this turret. Factor bonus falls off, finally gets some minions. All right, there we go. Turret's gonna go down, making that 7-1 right here for Cloud9. 15-2 in kills. Smearing the kill score, basically. And we'll see. They're gonna recall back, get themselves some health bars. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Baron just cuz.
Yeah, it's strange. Cloud9's not generally a team that will go for the Barons in really quick games like this. They're teams that, when they know they have huge leads, they'd rather just continue to dive and finish off. And because Cloud9 has already gotten down that middle inhibitor, they can use that entrance point into Dignitas' base to pressure down the other inhibitors. Or, if Dignitas continues to walk out like this, Sneaky can just train people down, get them low, and then push after.
Unfortunately, though, not too much blood in his eyes. Realize, there's like DP4 here. There's a lot of dudes missing from the minimap. They might come gank me, so didn't chase down Crumbs despite not having escapes. So good read, though. There were Dignitas members coming to help their friend. So, but the rest of the Cloud9, they're grouping back up. They've got health bars. Super minions flooding in the mid lane. Keep pushing. Screw it.
And I'm not sure how Cloud9 is going to play this. I would expect Eve or Kennen to come in through the middle and then flank around the back, but there's a chance. We've seen their brute force ganks or just brute force pushes before. They might just go straight up the mid lane, try to get an arrow on Cutie Pie and push. I wonder how Dignitas is going to defend this, because they are so woefully far behind in golden items right now. This is a very difficult turret to hold.
And right now, they're just trying to wave clear with it. Cutie Pie, the Iceborne Gauntlet is done. He's got some AoE. Scar's able to do a little bit as well. But Toy's got shields. Maybe they have that miracle defense. And look at the pink ward coming down. They, just as you said it, right? The Evelyn flank might be coming in. The vision ward to help spot that. Maybe it's enough to let Dignitas disengage, as Cloud9 haven't yet started the battle.
We heard NK Inc. talking, since he was the most prolific jungle Eve in the LCS, about how teams counter Eve, and it's pink warding behind you. it might be a little too late for that now, because even just him standing there is enough to put Dignitas back, but it's going to at least give them a bit more advanced warning. It's like putting sonar down for the submarine.
Yeah. Dignitas have equipped themselves with sonar. Will it be enough, though? Because the threat's more than the submarine, unfortunately. There's aircraft carriers and all kinds of stuff in Cloud9. I suppose it would be airplanes for Cloud9.
Well, here they go.
Good Junnel, though, stops the submarine. The sonar helps right there. Cloud9 trying to brute force in. Anyway, turret goes down. The engage coming back on in, but there's a shockwave. Lands on a 3. Is there enough engage backwards, though? Ball's already taken down 1 kill. That's Crumbs dropping. They've got control of the inhibitor. That's going down as well.
Dignitas just hasn't had time to accumulate damage. You can just see across the board, AmiCutiePie's build's nowhere close. Scar's the only one with any kind of punch, and he landed the shockwave on 3. It barely tickled Cloud9.
And looks like Cloud9 are going to use that to push the rest of the way through. Root onto Scar. Last turret dropping. Dangerously low in health bars, and now the Nexus is open. Ult comes in for High. Looking for some damage. Dropping a bit low in this one. Actually, Scar explodes him. High losing some KDA in what would have otherwise been a more succinct game. Now Ball's in rough shape. Actually, Dignitas might be holding on to this one. Double kill here for Scar, and they're pushing C9 out of their base. Their middle inhibitor has respawned. Kiwikid's not even done. Looks for elimination. Can he land the cocoon? Down to half HP. Lands it. And the rest of the kill. Yeah, that's probably a kill. Kiwikid finding one for himself. Dignitas holds.
They did hold.
For now.
11 turrets to 1 might be a bit much. I think that's a good effort by Dignitas pushing them back, and you could tell some of Cloud9, if all of them would have just committed to hitting the Nexus, I think they could have ended the game. But instead, they decided to kind of bail out a little bit. Meteos has had enough struggle with his KDA this week, where he had that 0-3 game. He's got to protect it. This is his carry Eve game. This is his time right now. I expect Cloud9 to come right back and try to finish.
He's looking for the double digits. If you combine all the games together, you've got to get at least, what, 30 kills and assists throughout the weekend to make up for that. So he's going for it here. He's starting with 13. Making a score climb on up right here. Of course, the buff's going to be contested once more. Contested, taken in Cloud9's own jungle. Meteos continuing to wear the blue buff here. Wearing that nice fashionable golem to go with his nice red dress and blue skin. And they're looking at Baron. As you said, they don't really need to do it. They could just go for the turretless inhibitors to close the game out.
Yeah, Jarvan is pretty good at stealing. And it would take actually a lot of risk by Dignitas to even think about stealing Baron. But specifically because there's not even turrets protecting the Dignitas Nexus. I feel like Cloud9 is just not going to waste time here and hopefully just go in for another fight and then maybe try to end the game. Because there's no buildings left to protect anything from Dignitas.
So High's going to just kind of do the rest of his homework. He's going to steal away the Dignitas blue buff. Meteo's going to steal away the Dignitas red buff. That's pretty much everything on the jungle you could take that would help you fight for this battle. And AmiCutiePie actually just burned his ulti to clear out some of the top lane minions, so it's one less ability available here for Dignitas. Cloud9 are grouping up. Looks like 5 towards mid, with Balls a little bit towards the top side. Maybe he'll split.
Yeah, it's a matter of, are they going to try to flank around the side again? The last fight, while it did give them almost the whole base, was pretty well repelled by Patoy's Monsoon. I do just think, though, due to the monstrous gold lead and the 11 turrets to 1, this is just going to be a clean initiation from Cloud9 as we've always seen, and potentially a victory.
And you know, to answer the question from a while ago of who builds the Aegis, it's Elimination. He got enough gold from the global objectives. 11 turrets will do that for you. He's built the Aegis for the team, Ruby Sightstone, all that fun stuff as well. So, didn't even have to be Balls. He got to go around to his
I actually feel like that's exactly what he should build right now. Aegis has more stats than ever pushed towards the magic resist aura, and less about the individual. So if anyone to build that, it's naturally the support, if they can get the gold flow to do so.
And just the split push, though, alone is enough to let Balls take away the top lane inhibitor. So much pressure in mid allows him to grab this one. Of course, the mid lane one going down soon as well. Crumbs might look to engage, gets the ball into his back. Not quite Rita, but there's the Asher. Crumbs going to go down. Meteos steals that one away. Goes legendary at 8-0 and 6, and now comes the push into the Nexus.
And I don't even know if Dignitas can hold this one out. This could just get auto-attack down. This has been such a dominating performance by Meteos and Cloud9.
But Shockwave hits 3, 1 kill coming across. True Shot Barrage as well. Monsoon keeps Skara alive. No, it doesn't. Balls takes the kill on down. 2 for 1 so far in this fight, and that'll be enough for the Nexus. Congratulations to Cloud9, taking a very convincing win in 31 minutes. And Dignitas will have to look for their first win of the week.
Meteos definitely put on his carry pants for that one. From the start of the game all the way through, ends up competing with all the solo laners in gold at the end of that game. You know, I know Double has said 310 was the rise of CLG and the fall of Cloud9, but Cloud9 has something to say about that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a good updraft lifting them even higher. Just to point out the stat, Meteos 11.4 thousand, High was at 11.7, Sneaky at 12.6, Balls at 12 flat, so within 600 to 1200 gold of all the carry laners. Yeah, it seems like you can get equal gold flow from the jungle.
Yeah, that's exciting to see as a jungler personally, but
yeah,
for Dignitas, they still need to worry.
Yeah.
That's 0-3 on the week right now. They have not distanced themselves from Coast, and they at least want a chance to fight in the playoffs to stay in the LCS or even go to Worlds. But like at this point, they need to fight to even make it to playoffs. It's a dangerous time. They need to pick up something.
Yeah, there's a lot really at stake there as well, because you think about not only, okay, we make top 6, but there is a 6th place playoff at those playoffs as well. If you're the number 6 team and you can't come back up, you still drop to that relegation spot.
Absolutely.
So Dignitas fighting for some momentum at the very least, guys. Now, we've got to take a short break, but when you return, we will be joined by Cloud9's king of KDA, Meteos, to talk about breaking the LCS win record. They've done it. They're the first team to make
23 wins.
23 wins. Now, then, of course, it'll be time for our 5th match of the day, which will be Velocity Esports versus Counter Logic Gaming. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the LCS Summer Split. Rivington Bism III here, joined by Cloud9's Meteos in the interview lounge. Thanks for joining me after another win for you guys, which then puts you up to, I believe, 23-3, which is 1 up on Fnatic's score in the Spring Split, making you guys have the winningest record now. Congratulations on that. Obviously, this isn't something you guys like. We want the best record in the LCS, but how does it feel to achieve that, kind of just waltzing on through?
It feels really good. It makes me think that the hard work you put into it has paid off.
And you yourself obviously saying that you put in a hard work, talking with High in the beginning, you guys almost didn't get along, but you were able to sweep that under the rug. What was the main point that allowed that to happen within the team?
I think when we moved into the gaming house, it made it a lot easier because we sort of had conflicting playstyles in the beginning because he wasn't used to mid lane, and he thought the jungler was supposed to help mid a lot, and I sort of wanted to do my own thing, so we had a little bit of clashing there, but when we moved in, we just liked each other as people, so it made it easier to get along in game.
We'll talk a little bit about the game for a second. That's all we've been able to talk about with you guys coming up to the chair is how well you guys have played. And that one you chose to go for a carry jungler this time. Is it because it's now locked down, you guys from the playoffs, you have a bye for next season, or for the playoffs and into next season? Are you trying more things?
Yeah, I'm trying to play a little bit different than I usually do. With the 3.10 patch, I feel like there's more emphasis on the early pressure you can put on lanes rather than towers. So I'm trying a little bit of the gank junglers.
And for any team, how long does it take to kind of pull that information in and, put it to use? The towers are going to be different. How many times do you have to test it and try things out, trial and error?
It takes a while. 3.10 is probably the biggest patch we've had to deal with so far. So it'll take a lot of adjusting. This Super Week's still only 2 weeks after the patch, so we haven't practiced that much on it, but it looks like we're doing all right. We sort of had a rough game against Vulcan, but it seems like it'll be all right. Hopefully we'll be good by the time for playoffs.
And what do you think the factor is? I kind of said it earlier when I was casting your game of the min-max. If you guys are in the min and you're not winning early game, it's kind of the loss there, but it doesn't happen often. And if you guys are in the max, like this game, you kind of take it right to the top and get a definitive win. Why is that? It's one or the other.
I guess the games are kind of snowbally. If you get behind early, you get more and more behind. You sort of have to wait for the enemy to make a mistake. But when we get ahead early, we're pretty good at closing out games, and we try to not throw too much, so generally we can just pull in a win.
And what do you think is it that gets under teams' skins when they do have a lead? What's the reason they're not always finishing the game? You could watch a game and they're 15,000 gold up. What's a team thinking there when they're just not going in?
Well, sometimes teams think that they outscale the other comp. If they get late enough in the game, their champions will just be better with items than the other team, so they don't want to throw the game by going for a risky dive or a risky Baron or anything. So I think that's the big thing. And then on the other hand, if a team feels that they get outscaled, they might try too hard to do a dive, and it'll mess up. So you just sort of have to find a happy median.
All right, and for Cloud9, as I said, coming into the playoffs, you guys get a bye. How is it going to be different practicing for the playoff matches, knowing they're a best-of-3 series to the LCS best-of-1?
It'll be a lot different because we don't have to prep for just our own strategy. It's going to be more specific prep against certain teams. It's kind of hard having a bye, actually, because we don't know if we're going to play the 4th or the 5th place team. So for that whole 2 weeks leading up to it, we have to prepare for 2 different teams rather than just knowing which team we're going to play and just doing that full 2-week prep for that specific team. So best of threes are also a lot different because there's other things to go into it. Like, you take into account the game you just played when you're doing your picks and bans in the next game. So it'll definitely take a lot of prep.
All right, and your games coming up for the end of the week are going to be Coast and Team Solomid. How do you feel about those matchups?
I'm feeling pretty good. These last 2 wins we've had have given us some confidence about 3.10. We were sort of nervous going into it because everyone's saying it's going to be the downfall of C9, and we do have to change our play style a little bit, but I think we're adapting all right. TSM's looking really good right now, so I think that'll be a hard match, and Coast can definitely win games, so looking forward to this.
Meteos, thank you for the interview. And obviously in all the videos, people have been saying your name, Meteos, lots of skill. And I don't know if you know this, but you actually have a chance to be the only player in the LCS to end the split with a double-digit KDA if you do well in these next few games. So best of luck to you. Best of luck to Cloud9 and the rest of the split. Guys, a few more games to go on the day. Jat and Freak are ready to deliver these games to you. Let's head to them back on the desk.